straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams.
Hi, I'm Rupha Ramani and you're watching Firstpost. Our lineup today has a lot of variety. India may be in trouble against South Africa in the cricket test match over in Centurion, but one man who stole the limelight in the Indian ranks has been cricketer KL Rahul. What a roller coaster ride he's had this year alone. And as 2023 draws to a close, we can say KL Rahul has indeed come a very long way. He's slowly becoming the rock in the Indian batting lineup after donning multiple roles over the years. And watch the storm that's raging on in the world of chess. The governing body is facing a lot of heat from many quarters. This after a bunch of Indians were robbed in the middle of the tournament, and there are fingers being pointed at differential treatment to certain superstars. Plus, we continue to rewind the clock on the sporting calendar. Who are the top Indian superheroes who dominated 2023? Stay on for all of that and more. But first, it's time for headlines from around the world in Sports 360. We'll start with cricket. Bangladesh beat New Zealand by 5 wickets in yesterday's T20 match. Host New Zealand batted first and scored 134 in their innings. Shoriful Islam and Mehdi Hassan doing the damage. During the chase, though, Liton Das scored an unbeaten 42 to seal the win for the Tigers. Bangladesh now lead the 3-match T20 series 1-0. In football, Manchester City beat Everton 3-1 last night. Everton took the lead after Jack Harrison scored in the 29th minute. In the second half, the Sky Blues fired 3 goals as Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez and Bernardo Silva found the back of the net. Manchester City have now climbed to the 4th spot in the Premier League. In tennis, Carlos Alcaraz beat Novak Djokovic in the one-off exhibition match last night in Riyadh. The special match was, of course, played in the Saudi Arabian capital. World number 1 Djokovic won the first set 6-4. Then Alcaraz rallied back to win the next two 6-4 and 6-4. Indian shuttler PV Sindhu has become the 16th highest paid woman athlete in the world. In 2023, Sindhu earned over $7 million through tournaments and off-field earnings. The highest paid woman athlete is Poland's tennis player Iga Świątek. World number 1 Świątek earned almost $24 million this year alone. And the NBA has approved the $3.5 billion sale of billionaire Mark Cuban's majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks. The Adelson family that owns the Las Vegas Sands Casino Company will acquire the majority stake in the basketball team. Meanwhile, Cuban is expected to maintain control of the basketball team's operations. The sale ends Mark Cuban's 24-year ownership of Dallas Mavericks, which he had acquired for $285 million. Now, India and South Africa are engaged in a test match at the Centurion. And the one bright spark that everyone has been talking about is KL Rahul's performance. In conditions that were very difficult and when India was in a lot of trouble, KL Rahul came in and scored a century. The highlight of his knock was the fact that the 100 came batting at number 6. We'll get you why that's really important a little later. And the patience with which he carried his bat through. Now picture this, the conditions were overcast, the pitch was a little damp and the ball was definitely moving around. Kagiso Rabada was menacing and he had just sent India's best back to the pavilion. KL returns to the test outfit as wicketkeeper batter for the very first time, and anyone in that situation would be under tremendous pressure, but not KL Rahul. He scripted a very calm and solid knock to stabilize the messy Indian innings. His knock had caution and aggression. So while he did remarkably well to take those 1s and 2s in the right time, he also managed to accelerate and strike 14 4s and 4 6s in his knock. The best part about his batting was that he batted with the Indian tail. So he was alert enough to protect someone like a Prasidh Krishna, taking the single so as to get him off strike or face the next over. KL Rahul shouldered the responsibility as a senior batter commendably well. His growth and maturity hasn't gone unnoticed. It's no surprise that the batting coach of the Indian team calls KL Rahul India's man of crisis. KL Rahul was in crisis himself after he got injured during the IPL. or the Indian Premier League, returning to the Indian setup for the Asian tournament, and of course, there was a lot of pressure on him to deliver. The team had its own plans and they had a role for each batter. For KL Rahul, it was too bad to bat lower down the order, in fact, lower down the middle order. And for someone who has pretty much traversed the batting lineup over the years, KL Rahul grabbed this one with both hands and showed he was ready. Struck a century on his very first comeback game against Pakistan and showed his steady head in great measure at the ODI World Cup that followed. He bailed India out alongside Virat Kohli in their first match against Australia. For someone who has been batting at just about every position, KL Rahul has embraced the team's need of him batting at number 6, basically lower down the order.
Batting in the middle order, what I've realized is that you can't really plan your innings all that much. When you walk in, there's a situation in front of you. The game tells you how you need to play and what you need to do in that time and in that moment. That's what I try to do. I try to walk in with a very free and very empty mindset when I'm batting in the middle order, and then see what the game demands of me, and then try and do my best in that moment.
And he's accepted this challenge across formats that would require different skill, different approach, which is what he intends to do even for his Indian Premier League franchise, the Lucknow Giants. Something he knows will cement his place in the national side across formats. Here's what Sunil Gavaskar, the legendary Sunil Gavaskar, said after that knock at Centurion. He says, and I quote, "I have been watching cricket for over 50 years now, and I can undoubtedly say this century by Rahul has to be in the top 10 of India's Test history because it is a different pitch here. A batter would not gain the confidence so easily that he has set, especially with the ball doing anything at any time. One thing is certain, it will be tough to keep KL Rahul out of any side, at least as a batter. In the chaos and madness that is batting in cricket, KL Rahul is that oasis of calm any side needs in its batting lineup." Let's talk about his presence of mind when it comes to keeping, because this test is his first as a wicketkeeper batter. He impressed everyone with his keeping skills at the World Cup. Rishabh Pant's absence was hardly felt. He was quick behind the stumps and he read every ball incredibly well, getting all DRS queries correct. And to think that this is the very same KL Rahul who was criticized heavily and trolled months ago is something everyone is seeing, especially the critics. He spoke about that, in fact, right after the day's play, how all the trolling across social media had indeed bothered him. Anyone who says they are not bothered by social media are lying, he says.
Each person has to find their way. And for me, when I was injured and was away from the game for such a long time, I worked on myself. I tried to go back to the person that I am and worked on how I don't change myself by getting affected by these things. It is difficult to remain true to yourself and true to your personality with so much happening. It is the hardest thing. So that's what I did when I was out of the game. I worked on myself and then worked on remaining calmer and taking care of my head and what happens inside as well.
Now, we spoke about the batting maturity of KL Rahul, the keeping alertness, but it seems more than all of this. It's clear that the cricketer KL Rahul seems to be maturing. His 100 was a historic one. He's one of just 3 Indians to score more than 1 century in South Africa. It's also his second 100 in Centurion, a venue in South Africa that troubles batters the most. But something tells me these things don't matter so much to him. Rather than what his own personal cricketing goals should be, KL Rahul seems to be growing into what the team requires of him. Sounds familiar? Maybe something to do with the name. A Rahul in Indian cricket has to be very, very special. Now, do you know what FIDE or FIDE is? It stands for the Fédération Internationale des Échecs in French, or the International Chess Federation in English. FIDE is the governing body for international chess competitions. It was founded almost 100 years ago in 1924. In 1999, FIDE or FIDE was recognized by the International Olympic Committee, and FIDE is the most important body in chess. They make the rules of the games and calculate the rating points of all the players. They are responsible for giving the highly coveted title of Grand Master, and they also hold the most important chess tournaments right through the year. Now, something happened very recently at one such tournament. The Sunway Sieges tournament in is underway in Spain. It is sponsored by the Sunway Hotel Group and has been authorized by FIDE. During the matches, 6 Indian chess players lost valuable possessions due to robberies in their rooms. The players lost laptops, cash, electronics, and even their passport, making them negligible to continue playing the tournament. The Spanish police were of no help. They blamed the robbery on other Indian players. After more burglaries took place at the hotels, the Indian players shifted their accommodation. FIDE has not made any statement regarding the burglaries that happened at the official accommodation given to the players. At the same time, FIDE is hosting one of its biggest events of the year. The World Rapid Blitz Championship is being held in Uzbekistan's capital, Samarkand. The world's top grandmasters from the men's and women's categories are competing for the title, and this is where the second fiasco involving FIDE took place. FIDE master Anna Maya Kazarian from the Netherlands was on her way to the tournament's venue. She was stopped by an official for wearing these shoes and fined over $110. Now, FIDE says that Kazarian broke their dress code, which does not allow sports shoes into the chess arena. Immediately after the incident, Kazarian's tweet broke the internet as support poured in for her from across the world. Even Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura spoke up against FIDE's seemingly outdated dress code. But this is not the first time that FIDE has come after players or officials for their attire. Earlier in the year, FIDE targeted Iranian chess official Shohreh Bayat for a t-shirt she wore regarding women's rights, and she was quietly removed from FIDE's official tournaments from then on.
Before the tournament, David Yada, who I thought is my friend, who saw my interview in a Spanish magazine, and then he reached out to me and he offered his support for our movement. Then I thought that they actually are supporting human rights in Iran. But when during the tournament, he reached out to me and then he said that I should take off my t-shirt or take out my t-shirt. I found it unfair because from one hand, there was no dress code rule for the tournament for arbiters. So I was not breaking any rule. And actually, FIDE Charter is encouraging people, and it's the obligation of FIDE to encourage human rights. And also on my t-shirt, there was a very positive message about women's rights. There were 3 words, women, life, freedom, and none of these words are, negative or something. I think because when they decided to tell me not to wear my other clothes, and after I didn't listen to them, they realized that I'm not going to follow their instruction. So after that, they didn't say anything to me. But I saw that I was removed after the tournament from the Arbiters Commission. And I received a message from one top FIDE official who confirmed that it was because of my clothes, and who told me that Arkady Dvorkovich, FIDE president, was furious with me because of wearing these clothes, and because of that, he removed me from the Arbiters Commission.
Now, things are not different for the male players either. At the Rapid Blitz tournament, FIDE has been accused of favoritism. Russian Grandmaster Ian Nepomniachtchi has accused FIDE of favoring Magnus Carlsen. The Russian says that Carlsen was given a special lounge where he could relax before the games began. Other grandmasters like Fabiano Caruana, Maxime Lagrave and Pentala Harikrishna also tweeted about Carlsen enjoying special privileges. At least this time, FIDE responded and said that they had not granted any special conditions to any player. FIDE is certainly facing a massive controversy, with accusations being hurled at them for ill-treating players. The ironical part is that the motto of FIDE is "We are one family." Clearly, some chess players and grandmasters do not feel that way. Paying attention to them might go a long way in FIDE's favor and, of course, furthering the sport itself. Now, 2023 was a great year for sports in India. India saw a cricketing legend Sachin Tendulkar's record being broken by none other than Virat Kohli. During the ODI World Cup, Kohli scored his 50th ODI century to rewrite history books. He was also the highest run scorer and the player of the tournament. Kohli sure was heartbroken when India lost to the World Cup final to Australia, but India is super proud of Kohli. He entertained us throughout the year. His personality that he embodies on the cricket ground has enough energy to charge up an entire stadium. Kohli's batting is a masterclass to watch and his fielding is simply unbeatable. He still has a lot to prove, not to anybody but himself. Now, we can't end the year without talking about India's javelin star Neeraj Chopra. The young lad from the Indian state of Haryana is a spear-throwing machine. In 2022, he made it to the history books with the first track and field gold medal for India. And 2023 was no different for Neeraj. He won big and won flamboyantly. Chopra is already in Mission Paris Olympics mode. He's already the Asian champion and is aiming for more goals. Speaking of Asian champions, how can we not mention Sheetal Devi? The 16-year-old para-athlete from India's Jammu and Kashmir is a beacon of inspiration. She was born with a rare condition without upper limbs, and even that didn't stop her from taking archery as a sport. She won gold at the Asian Games and is currently ranked #1 para-archer in the world. Truly, what a year it has been for Sheetal Devi and India.
When you think of the Indian men's cricket team, there's one player who has become the poster boy, and that is Virat Kohli. The flick of the wrist for a 4, the gentle lifted cover drive for a 6, and the fiery aggression when fielding. That has been Virat Kohli's year. Just looking at the one-day internationals that Kohli played, one can see the phenomenal performance he displayed throughout the year. Kohli played 27 ODI matches in 2023. He scored over 1,300 runs, with his best score being unbeaten at 166. Kohli averaged over 70 runs every game. And he also broke Sachin Tendulkar's record of the highest ODI centuries. During the ODI World Cup semi-final match against New Zealand in Mumbai, Kohli scored his 50th ODI century. A record that will be remembered by generations to come, as he looked up to the master he had surpassed, applauding him from the stands. Kohli has entered the record books of cricketing greats. 2023 has been a truly remarkable year for the boy from Delhi. From the Delhi boy to the boy from Haryana. Neeraj Chopra has been unstoppable with the javelin. He dominated the global stage during the 2020 Tokyo Olympics in 2022. Chopra won India the first track and field gold medal at the Olympic Games. And this year was no different for the track star. In 2023, Chopra won a gold at the World Athletics Championships. He again made it to the record books by becoming the first Indian to do so. Chopra was also crowned the Asian champion when he won a gold at the Asian Games. Despite all the umpire drama that went down at the Asian Games and Chopra having to throw the javelin in extra time, the athlete did not lose his smile after the fiasco. He's now focusing on the 2024 Paris Olympics and will take to the practice arena in January 2024. There was one Indian athlete that left her mark on everyone. A 16-year-old girl from Jammu and Kashmir. Her name is Sheetal Devi. She was born with Phocomelia syndrome, a rare disorder which kept her upper limbs underdeveloped. But Devi had other plans for herself. She had a knack for the bullseye from a very young age, and officials of the Indian Army saw what Devi could do with a bow and arrow. In a few years, she was included in the national para-archery team. She won a silver at the World Para Championships earlier in the year, but Devi scripted history at the Asian Games. She became the first Indian woman to win 2 gold medals in a single edition of the Para-Asian Games. Devi shot bullseye after bullseye, with the bow being held with her feet and the pull string being released from her shoulder. You have to see it to believe it. It will leave you in all kinds of awe. Devi is now ranked world #1 in para-archery. She has been nominated for the Arjuna Award, which is India's second highest sporting prize. Devi will now become the youngest woman from a country to compete in para-archery at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Here's to Sheetal Devi and to the remarkable achievements that many more Indian athletes are on the cusp of realizing, like badminton duo Chirag Shetty and Satvik Rankireddy, or chess siblings R. Vaishali and Praganananda.
Now, it's a busy morning in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. The city is beginning to hustle, and right in the middle of the streets are people with swords wearing protective armor, dueling it out. No, it's not a way of settling things the old-fashioned way. It's Nairobi's fencing club which wants to build awareness about the sport. Have a look at today's last serve. quite a treat for all the onlookers who stopped and started watching. But that does it here on Firstpost. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow, one last time before the year ends. But take care. See you again at 7 p.m. on Firstpost.